the greatest potential lies in building the machine that makes the machine. In other words, it's building the factory. I'm really thinking of the factory like a product. Welcome to the Kingspiration podcast. This is the place where you'll learn how to get unstuck and gain momentum in your life and business. Each week, we tackle the real aspects of entrepreneurship, personal development, relationships, and fitness. I'm your co-host, Ethan King, from Atlanta, Georgia, USA, entrepreneur, TEDx speaker, and best-selling author of Wealth Beyond Money.
And I'm your co-host, Justin King, no relation to Ethan, from Cape Town, South Africa, entrepreneur, speaker, and business growth strategist. Our journey crosses continents and cultures, sharing wisdom and experiences to propel you forward. Welcome to Kingspiration. Let's start the conversation.
All right. Welcome to today's episode. And today we are going to be speaking about the concept or the topic of productivity purgatory. And productivity, can't even say it. Productivity purgatory is a concept that I first heard of through listening to Chris Williamson on his podcast, which is Modern Wisdom. And it really resonated and stuck with me at the time because it's something that I find myself getting caught in. And the best way to describe productivity purgatory is this idea that the idea that we never feel that we have been productive enough. So no matter what we implement in our lives in order to become better at what we are doing or in order to become more productive, you'll then get to that point and feel, what is the next thing I can implement in order to become more productive? Because we never quite feel productive enough. And we kind of get into this, what I'm going to call a productivity spiral, where there's just constantly an opportunity cost for what it is that you're doing. So if you're trying to go to gym or you're having dinner with your partner or whatever it is, there'll be a guilty feeling of, could I be using this time more productively in a work context? You're probably using it pretty productively in order to build your relationships and to become more fit and achieve that goal that you're wanting to with regards to running your marathon or whatever it may be. But at the same time, there's this little voice at the back of your head saying, could you be using this time differently to catch up on those emails or to get that proposal finished or to finish designing that workshop that you're needing to deliver in 2 weeks' time or whatever it may be. So it's this idea that we never quite productive enough. It's the hedonic treadmill of productivity, in essence. Ethan, what is your initial thought when you hear that?
Yeah, it's funny when you hear the term purgatory. I wonder, do most people know what purgatory is? It's kind of, I guess it comes from the Roman Catholic Church, and it's that middle place, that waiting place between, you're not in heaven and you're not in hell, but after death, it's like this waiting area. Is that how you understand it?
It's a place, exactly that. It's a place of limbo is another way to possibly, it's just a place of nothingness. You're not here or there, to your point.
So when we think about productivity, we always want to get there. It's either it's binary, it's 0 or 1. It's like, well, either you did it or you didn't do it. But we oftentimes find ourselves in that gray area, in that purgatory where it's like, or you have, every project kind of has these smaller parts, but we sometimes don't look at it like that. We look at, well, I didn't finish the big thing, and we beat ourselves up about it. So I think it's an interesting topic to explore. And, as you mentioned, it's like we always want to accomplish more and more and more, but more never really ends. We're always reaching after that carrot. So like you said, on the hedonic treadmill, you're running after it, but you can never get to the goal. So what are some ways that we can escape productivity purgatory, Justin?
Well, the very first one that comes to mind is having a go-to system or method of prioritization. And in order to do that, it's the first one that comes to mind really is the Eisenhower Matrix that has been around for a long time. And a lot of listeners will be very familiar with what it is and where it's from. And Ethan, I know you actually telling me before, because I couldn't recall exactly where it was from, but it's from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, correct?
Yeah. The classic book. If you haven't read it, definitely pick it up. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. And one of the habits is this Eisenhower Matrix. It's also referred to as the urgent versus important matrix. And just to sum it up really quickly, if I can, in a crude way, if you take if you have quadrants, 4 quadrants, a matrix with 4 quadrants, and then you have on one side you have important, and on another side you have urgent. So that's going to leave you with 4 boxes, right? Urgent and important, urgent, not important, important, not important, and urgent, and then not important, not urgent. And then you take your to-do list or whatever, all these things that we have going on that you have to do, and you plot them into each one of those quadrants. And what you'll find is that the urgent, important stuff is like your fire, your day-to-day. I have to get this done today. These are the fires you continually have to put out in your business. Then you have your important but not urgent. Those are the things that are really going to move you forward and help you achieve those longer term goals in your life. But the problem is we often don't get to those important, not urgent tasks because we're always putting out the fires. So the key is to take those, and this is my approach. I would love to hear yours. But the key is to take items from that quadrant 2, from that important but not urgent, and put one of those on your calendar to get it done, and treat it as it is urgent so that you are getting to those important tasks. How do you handle it?
I think you spot on with what you've said now. And this is where a lot of us will get caught up in focusing on things which are both important and urgent. We've all heard that they're saying, particularly when you're dealing with people, the person who screams the loudest is the one who's always going to get their attention. And similarly, that happens with tasks. And this came up for me when I was working with a client recently. Then the logistics, the export of fruit produce from South Africa. And they've been working on an analytics dashboard, which is primarily used in order to get their teams to focus on what it is that are the most crucial tasks for them to get done on a particular day. And for them, a lot of it is filling out packing forms, making sure that shipments are leaving ports on time. Everything is, as far as regulations, all of that is on time. And we've spent a lot of time speaking about the idea that they have to get their analytics dashboard right around ensuring their team are not only focused on the things which are critical, because they've got the typical robot kind of colors on their dashboard with red, orange, green. And by nature of the beast that we are as humans, all our attention will go to the things that flashing red and orange. But all that means is they kind of get stuck in this cycle of purgatory where, because that's all they focus on, the things that were on track or on time, but the next day or the day after are now critical and urgent. And that's the only thing that gets their focus. So I love what you've said now. It's the idea of having to also move that which is important. It hasn't quite yet got to urgent, but that which is important and chipping away at that on a daily basis as well, to make sure that we're not just getting caught up in the cycle of that which is screaming the loudest needs to get my attention. So I agree with you. It's the ideal way to use the Eisenhower Matrix, which I think was actually created by Dwight Eisenhower, correct?
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
So ultimately as well, what you're wanting to do is get to the one thing. So I think the matrix itself, the Eisenhower Matrix itself, will be a tool to help you really define, if I had only enough time to get one thing done today, which is that thing which is going to move the needle the most in my business, move the needle the most in my personal life, or allow me to feel the most productive, if that's what we're talking about today. And that's really what you're wanting to kind of get done first and give a lot of your time and attention to. That we actually use that in our daily check-ins with our team. And that's how I position. I say, guys, if you had only enough time to get one thing done today, what is that one thing that you're focusing on getting today? And that's how we report on our daily check-in.
Yeah, that's great. And that comes from the book, The One Thing by Gary Keller, right? Which is another must read, I would say.
100%. So
point
number 2, yeah.
So this one, I recently read Elon Musk's biography, the most recent one by, what's the guy's name? The same guy who wrote Steve Jobs' biography. I'm losing his name at the moment. But there was a quote that really stood out to me where Elon Musk said, the greatest potential lies in building the machine that makes the machine. In other words, it's building the factory. I'm really thinking of the factory like a product. And so Elon Musk said that he doesn't focus on building the Teslas. He focuses on building the robots and constantly improving the robots that build the Teslas. And if we apply that to our own businesses, whatever our output is, our product or service that we deliver to the public, well, instead of continually focusing on delivering that product, focusing on the systems, the automations, the processes, the improvements, the continued Kaizen, the continuous improvements that will deliver those things for us. So for me, in my business, I'm always looking at different automations and how we can incorporate AI and different tools. Like we use Keep a lot for our automated email services and Zapier to automate things. But what can I automate and improve that makes the factory better? What's your take on that?
Yeah, what immediately comes to mind is there's no original message. There's only an original messenger, because I've heard similar things in slightly different ways. I know Reed Hastings has spoken about the fact that when you're building a team in your business, if you're going to have chaos in your business, so just a million things happening at a million miles an hour, not necessarily a lot of structure, then you have to hire rock stars. Literally every person that you bring into your business has to be an absolute rock star that's able to work in amongst that chaos and make sense of that chaos. Or alternatively, you've got to have incredible structures, incredible systems, incredible processes, meaning that you can bring, and I'm not saying you don't want to bring rock stars into your business, but it means that you can start bringing people that are still going to work up to becoming a rock star into the business, but they'll be able to hit the ground running because of that structure that's being provided. Another way I've heard that being said before is what you're wanting to do in your business is build extraordinary processes that can be run by ordinary people, rather than having extraordinary people that are having to run these ordinary processes. And that definitely comes back to what you're saying now. It's just being able to control and manage that which is going to allow you to be more productive, rather than focusing on necessarily the end output. Is what is that thing prior to, or what is the thing that's generating and building that end output that you are working towards. So again, I think it's a tricky one though for just individuals to necessarily get right in their day to day. I get it from the business owner's perspective, but what do you think it means to an employee or a team member?
Well, you need to be extraordinary, first of all. And the sad reality of it is that most people are not extraordinary and are kind of settle for mediocrity. But if you're going to, really excel in life from an employee standpoint, like you have to show where you stand out, because people complain about, oh, well, AI is going to take our jobs. Well, yeah, if you're doing your job on the level of a robot, you do have to worry about it being taken. I keep seeing these things pop up about McDonald's. You see these, they're completely automating these McDonald's restaurants. There's one now, or maybe a couple of them now that are there are no humans in the McDonald's at all. Like you drive up, It's taken by a robot and it's fulfilled by robots and you drive off. Well, there was this big thing in the US a few years ago. I don't know if you heard about it, but people were protesting because they wanted the minimum wage to be $20 an hour. And I guess that really accelerated. I guess it got passed in some cities or something, or it went up to $15 an hour. But, I remember when people were talking about this and I said to myself, well, that's only going to make the price of everything go up. In fact, I remember telling people, and a lot of people didn't quite understand this, but to me, it's simple economics. I would tell them, well, the price of your burgers is just going to go up if the price of minimum wage goes up. So then it really diminishes everything, because everything will just get more expensive. And look what's happened now. Everything has gotten more expensive. But that's more of a tangent. I think when it comes to like the systems and processes and the automation, a lot of what you're talking about is addressed in the E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. And he really explains the concept of designing your business like it is a franchise, making it have such easy systems and processes that you don't need rock stars. Because if you need rock stars to run your business, well, rock star humans, I mean, humans have situations come up. Humans get sick, humans get married and move to other cities. I mean, just life happens and then you have to start over. So the approach is, if you can design systems, processes, robots, if you will, which is Elon Musk's approach, then that is a more sustainable business to scale.
Absolutely. So on that note, because it is very closely connected. The next point that we wanting to discuss is really around this concept of disconnecting your self-worth from how much you accomplish each day. And that does link beautifully into that previous point, because having the systems, having the structure, having the robots is going to help you accomplish more. But ultimately, and this is a trap that I've fallen into, and it's really closely linked to our previous episode, which was that the overachiever's mindset or the achiever's mindset, like what is enough when it comes to achievement. What I sometimes struggle with productivity is, no matter what I get through, I always feel like it could have been more. And then in my own mind, I'm like, you really didn't do enough today. And I'm starting to, and then I think to myself, I don't know what are you've let the team down, or you've let so and so down, because you could have done more today. And I get generally, and this is me, and maybe it's not everyone, but you kind of start attaching that self-worth each day to how much you've got through that day, because your score starts at 0 the next day again. Yeah. So that can be a challenge for me, but it's one just to keep in mind. I mean, your self-worth, your value is absolutely not tied to how much, because I think that's where I fall into a trap in my own mind. Is I think productivity is how much, where productivity is how much impact rather than volume. It's how much impact as what you have worked on today had on a project or on your team or whatever it may be. Would you see it the same way?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what it comes down to is just don't beat yourself up. Go easy on yourself. Give yourself grace. And it's an ongoing struggle, but the key is to be aware of it and just recognize that you're human. And sometimes you need rest, relaxation. Sometimes, even like this past weekend, I went into the weekend thinking, oh, I have some big projects I need to work on and get done. And once the weekend hit, I just really enjoyed spending time with my family. The weather was nice. I went outside, got some long runs in. Sunday night came, I didn't touch any of the projects. I didn't even open my computer. But you know what? I still feel fulfilled because I had a productive weekend, but in a different way. So yeah, go easy on yourself.
I love that, Ethan. That's such a good lens shift to have, because as you say, it was an incredibly productive weekend, just productive in a different way. And that's huge. We can get, yeah. I think the work aspect, the projects that you had, those can become all consuming. And just to remind ourselves that there are other aspects of life that are incredibly productive to focus our time on as well. That's huge.
Yeah.
So what is the final way that we feel we can move past this productivity purgatory problem?
I think this kind of ties to the last one, where giving yourself grace at the end of each day, but also reward yourself when you do accomplish the tasks. And there's been research and study on the psychological joy. Like if you have a handwritten to-do list, there's a certain amount of joy that you get from actually crossing things off the to-do list. Have you heard that before? So even if even if you've done it, that's great. But the actual act of crossing it out. So at the end of each day, allow your stuff, ask yourself questions and show gratitude for what you actually did accomplish that day. Because what I found in my life is that sometimes I may start out the day like saying, okay, I'm going to focus on this today. But then I may get a little derailed, or there may be something else that pops up. I'm like, oh yeah, I need to focus on that today. That's actually more important. And then at the end of the day, I could feel bad because I didn't get the original thing done. But if I really reflect on all that I accomplished, and I should give myself a pat on the back and express gratitude for that, and that'll help me sleep better at night.
And when you speak about reward, would you suggest rewarding yourself with something? So you and I both enjoy exercising, going for a run, getting to gym, whatever it may be. would you suggest using something like that as your reward? So if you get X done, you get to go to gym or you get to go for your run? Or should we be prioritizing the run or the gym first in order to help us be more productive for the day? So this is the thing.
That's the constant struggle, right? I bounce back and forth. I've found that if I'm really on a big fitness goal, by prioritizing exercise and doing it first thing in the day, no matter what, I'll achieve my fitness goals faster. But if I'm focusing on some work goals and finishing projects, then I'll break those projects into like 90-minute chunks, things that I can finish in about 90 minutes. And then to say, at the end of this 90 minutes, I'm going to reward myself with a run or go outside in the hot tub or whatever it is, but just little micro rewards, go eat lunch. But I'm not going to treat myself to this reward until I've finished this segment of the task.
Yeah, I like that. And that's the idea. The reward isn't going out and buying yourself a new Rolex watch or something of that nature. It's these small moments of, let's call them small moments of enjoyment that you can actually enjoy by having first been productive and got something across the line. I think that's what it is. Otherwise, that feeling of not having accomplished something that robs you of that joy, robs you of that enjoyment in that moment. I love that. There's one bonus one that I just thought of. So I've been working with a business coach by the name of George Edie. He's a wonderful business coach. And we were chatting about this very topic. And he had quite a simple answer to it. And obviously this is not for necessarily for everybody. It very much depends on what you do professionally. But he said to me, Justin, just put a monetary value to your productivity. So if you are wanting to earn X number of dollars a week, X number of dollars a month, whatever it is, once you have delivered enough work, closed enough deals, sold enough product, whatever it is that has hit that particular number, then you've been productive enough. And that's how you give yourself the pats on the back to say, I've done what I needed to do. And I must admit, I love that take. It's a very simple one. And as I say, not everybody could necessarily get that quite right. But there is something to it. There's definitely something to it. If you get stuck in the cycle, just attach a dollar value to it.
Yeah, that's a great hack. And I think it's a great bookend to where we started when we were talking about guilt, and that more never ends, because if you have a number attached to that, then you know once you've accomplished the goal. So in running through our points here, we have first, start off with a system and focus on the one thing each day that's going to move you forward. And then 2 would be to focus on building the systems and robots, or focus on building the machine that makes the machine. And then 3 would be to disconnect your self-worth from what you accomplish each day. And number 4 would be to give yourself micro rewards throughout the day for accomplishing significant tasks. And then your bonus one, attaching a dollar value. Love it.
Amazing. Ethan, it's been a pleasure like always. Thank you.
All right. Till next time.
That's a wrap for today's episode of Kingspiration. We hope this conversation sparked insights to ignite action in your life and business.
We're on this journey together, sharing our challenges and successes to help all of us take the next step towards building momentum and ultimately reaching our goals.
If you found value in today's episode, please share it with someone else who might benefit and leave us a 5-star review.
And remember to hit subscribe so you don't miss out on our weekly conversations. Until next time, keep rolling, keep growing, and keep being inspired.